Hello everyone, my name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather daily to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today with us, we have the great pleasure of having Dan Blanchard again. Dan Blanchard is a best-selling and award-winning author, speaker, and educator, and he's going to be having a very nice conversation with Christina Dufour. Christina is a mindfulness educator and a mental fitness specialist. But before starting with them, we remind you that Mindalia's mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness in the planet, and you can help us by subscribing to our channel, leaving us a positive comment on this video, or sharing it with someone that you know that can benefit of the content that we're going to be talking here today. Also, while we are live streaming, we have an active chat, the screen that you see here on my side, and through there we invite you to interact with us. Don't leave without liking, but also go and visit our Portuguese channel, Mindalia Televisado, and our Spanish channel, Mindalia Televisión. We are broadcasting daily information as interesting as the one that you are already used to see in Mindalia TV. We're not going to be delaying this any further, and I have the great pleasure of leaving you with Dan and Christina. Guys, welcome to Mindalia. The screen is yours.
Oh, thank you, Mirna. It's so
Mirna.
great. So it's so great to be back at Mirna Television. I always have such a great time with Mirna Television. And I got to tell you, I think tonight's episode is going to be super special. Kind of getting warm and fuzzy and goosebumps even thinking about it, because our guest, Christina Dufour, she and I go back like about a decade. You know, we met each other about 10 years ago when both of our lives were very different. You know, I was a teacher, still pretty much just a teacher, you know, a little bit of a sports coach. And I used to go into the bank to, like, you know, drop off my paycheck or maybe get some money or whatever. And there was Christina. You know, Christina used to work in the credit that I used to go to. And that's, you know, where we were like 10 years ago. You know, and the road's been up and down, but boy, have both of us traveled very far. I mean, we had these incredible dreams, you know, and these big visions of where both of us could bring our lives. And over the years, we've like encouraged each other through the ups and downs. We've met for coffee over at like Dunkin' Donuts or something like that. Yep. And, you know, the people watching us, they may not have been able to see inside of our heads and our hearts and notice that the big dreams that we've had, but they were there. They were there regardless. And I think we've made a lot of those dreams come true, Christina. Wouldn't you agree?
I would, yes.
Yes, absolutely. And for the Mindalia audience who may not know a lot about Christina yet, let me just tell you that, you know, not only do we go way back, but Christina was working in the bank, as I just told you. And since then, she's done so many things, you know, the ballroom dancing, the mindfulness. She opened up her own, moved far away, opened up her own studio away from everything that she knew. Just a young woman of guts, right? A young woman of guts that has just followed her dreams. And Christina, you know, I know you work with athletes, you know, that's dear to my heart. You work with executives, you know, people. That's where you kind of started your journey, you know, with the banking. And like I said, you've done so many things. I'm so proud of you. And hoping that you can kind of expand and fill in some gaps for our Mindalia audience on, you know, who you are and the things you're doing.
Sure. And yeah, you're right. It really has come full circle, starting in the credit union, make my way through that ballroom dancing, and then deciding to leave and really considering that wellness, yoga, meditation, mindfulness, that these were really the things I wanted to use to serve the world. And so I found myself with a studio at that time, and I was also building other elements of my business, the corporate work that I wanted to do and the individual clients. Made some tough decisions after a few years, you know, because I was just running a little too much for one person. And that's when I really decided I'm going to focus on the corporate world, athletics, and individuals. And so now that's primarily what my business does.
Yep.
with mindfulness tools and mental
Uh-huh.
fitness.
Cool. Now I remember me and you having a cup of coffee, and you were
Yeah.
telling me we all like Dunkin' Donuts, I think, or one of the coffee shops, and you were telling me that you were thinking about opening up your own studio,
Uh-huh.
and you were going to move away from like everything you knew. And I've always considered myself, Christina, a pretty brave, courageous, sometimes bold person. But I gotta admit, I was like nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, like that's scary. Moving away from everything and opening up a studio. I mean, you're opening up a business with overhead expenses and huge learning curve. Most
Mhm.
businesses fail within the first 5 years. And there you were just courageously, fearlessly, charging
Mhm.
forward. And I've had a lot of success in my life, but I got to tell you, like I have a day job that kind of pays the bills, and I work around my day job with all the stuff that I do. And you were like, heck with my day job. I got a dream and I'm off. You know what I'm saying? So
Pretty
I
much.
was like, you were fearless. You were courageous. I mean, how did you find that fearlessness? And how can our audience learn to follow their hearts and be fearless like you were, Christina?
Uh, well, first, thank you for that. It feels good to hear you say that I was fearless. Because to be quite honest, you know, in all transparency, at the time, I didn't necessarily feel fearless at all.
Mm,
and
yes. Mm-hmm.
and I had, what drew me anyway into really kind of taking a leap into a completely new industry with the ballroom dancing, and even signing up for yoga teacher training and all of this came from um, trauma and losses in my life. And so, to
Mm.
be honest, at this particular time, I really just felt like I had nothing to lose. And I tell you what, it's really fascinating because now, just this year, I became an established business officially. And I
Hey,
was like, oh,
congratulations.
yay, I made
Yeah,
it,
it's awesome.
But one of the things that I always remind myself of is, along the journey, I started feeling like I had some sort of energy inside of me that really was propelling me in the beginning. And so I
Mhm.
remember asking myself, maybe a year and a half, 2 years in, what was that? Where was I mentally? And it was really that place. That's what I discovered, that place of I have nothing to lose. And
Yeah.
so, and what I've learned now, years later, and really feeling like I actually have a good amount to lose, now if I were to just
Yeah. So
go
it's
and
getting
make a jump
scarier.
like
It's
that.
getting scarier
Yeah.
now.
Funny enough, but I have a few, rising ladies in particular, and
Yep.
men, a couple men that I mentor. And they're not clients of mine. I had met them in different arenas. And so I mentor them. And I'm always reminding them of that. You really have nothing to lose. You feel like you
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
but at
Mhm.
the end of the day, you don't, because even if you
Mhm.
were to fall, even if you were to make mistakes, even if something doesn't work out, something else will, or you'll find a way. And that's one of the
Yeah.
biggest
Yeah.
things I've learned now from where I am. I
Mhm.
always found a way, and
Yeah.
everything always worked out. Just when I
Mhm.
thought, oh gosh, this is the biggest obstacle, or this is going to crush me,
Yeah.
it
Yep.
actually led me into something that really supported me and helped me. So,
Cool. I
yeah.
mean, when I think about fair, I've been called fearless. People have said that about me. And I'm like, you got no idea. I'm always scared. Like a little
Yeah.
baby, like a little boy, I'm scared like all the time. I said, but I always tell my son this because he like wrestles. And that's scary when somebody wants to beat you up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I'm like, it's not about being, fearless. You're going to have fair. We all have fair. Your father has fair. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
what happens is that that's a blessing because the
Yeah.
fair allowed you to build your courage muscle,
That's
which is a
right.
wonderful thing because you displayed like your courage, and
Uh-huh.
the people out there that are doing the biggest things, they're displaying and exercising and building their courage, that
Mhm.
courage muscle. It builds through fear. So that's a good thing. Another thing I
Sure.
tell people is, look around and I want you to picture the worst possible thing that can happen if you do this. And if
Mm-hmm.
you can live with that, what do you got to lose? If
That's
you
right.
can live with that, someone would say, well, the business may not work. Can you live with that? Well, yeah, I guess I could just move back home with my parents and start a new business. Then you can live with it, right?
So hey,
Go for it. Or like you were saying, how you got nothing to lose. You figure, what the heck? You got nothing to lose. So I think that it's very beneficial, Christina, what you just shared with us is that people have to sit there and say, well, wait a minute. I'm thinking that I've got a lot to lose, but maybe I don't. Maybe I really got nothing to lose. And if I do lose something, can I live with it? And if I can live with the worst thing that happens, well, then anything that's less than that is okay.
yeah.
It's
Well,
okay.
I mean, and either way, right, you're going to make a choice, right? So
Mhm.
you're going to you're going to lose out on some things by making a different choice. And you're going
Mhm.
to lose out on other things by making a choice. So if you decide to drop everything and start your own business, well, you're going to miss out on some other things. But if you decide
Mhm.
to not do that and, you know, just get a job or whatever you feel meets your needs at that time or makes you feel safe, well, you're going to miss out on other things because of that. So either way, it's kind of,
Mhm.
I guess, a give and take, and
Yeah.
whatever matters for the person.
Mhm.
But as long as you're not allowing the fear to stop you, I guess
Yeah.
is the biggest thing, right?
Yeah. And I
Um,
like I like how you said that. Like you're making a choice either way.
that's
And
right.
you're gonna win or lose either way.
That's right.
So which one has the bigger jackpot? Which one
Hmm.
has the more adventure? Which one has the more opportunities for you to grow? You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
And speaking of that, the growing, can you tell us a little bit about like this mindfulness that you
Hmm.
have gotten into and that has helped you grow and has helped you help others grow? I mean, some in our audience may not be fully aware like what this mindfulness is. How did you come upon this and like what is it? How are you using it?
Sure. I feel like to really uh, provide some understanding for this, I'd have to go back to when I took my yoga teacher training,
Yep.
because I
Mhm.
truly had no intention of teaching it. And to be honest, I didn't really buy into the whole thing. I just thought it would be great exercise. And I knew that it, in some ways, would be good for my mind. Um, so, what's fascinating is, and I'll say this until my last day, that training saved my life. I didn't
Wow.
realize the grief that I was about to face. I didn't realize the struggles that I was about to go through. And what I learned in that training, about connecting inward and just being able to be with your emotions was new for me and profound. I experienced healing and support like I had never known to exist before. So that
Hmm.
was really just the beginning, and that's what sparked the interest. The way that that supported me through that difficult time was just amazing. And then when I ended up in ballroom dancing, I was facing a totally different stressor, because here I was, when I was in banking, I was in a world that I felt complete confidence in. I had worked my way up from teller to manager, and I was going to school and, learning and applying what I was learning as I was going to college. And I just felt very good. I had great mentors, but in ballroom, it was a whole new world. And everybody who I was competing against had done this since they were kids.
Yeah.
How
Hmm.
do I even compete with that,
Yep.
And so I had a lot of self-defeating conversations going on inside,
Hmm.
and dealing with that was a struggle. And then the physicality of it, this was totally new for me, even though I had worked out, and of course I had done some yoga and I did cardio, weightlifting and running and this and that. This was totally different,
Yep.
and the training was very intense. Uh, so even dealing with my physical energy and how do I work with that, all of these practices really supported me, and they actually led me into different modalities like restorative yoga,
Hmm.
releasing tension, deep relaxation.
Yep.
When I started my own business, that led into even more. because I became super stressed in the very beginning. Because as I
Of
mentioned,
course.
that there was some fear and I was stressed, and I had, I started from zero. I had a rent to pay and no work.
Scary.
It was scary. And
Yeah.
I was able to pay my rent in the first month with part of what I had started in my business, but I was, building it. You just don't know what's going to happen, and it's nerve-wracking. So that's when I started kind of really diving into the meditation, the mindfulness, the emotional resilience, intelligence, and even deeper into tension release and stress reduction tools to support myself. And and those supported me significantly and really were the cause for my being able to function at a very high level and manage a lot of different things.
So Christina, if I can jump in for a second.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking back to like your early days at the bank. You were going to college, going to school, studying under mentors. And it seemed like you vastly improved your IQ till you were doing pretty well in that world because your IQ. And then you leave that world and you go into a world that requires a lot of EQ or emotional intelligence, because like we all have those negative conversations with ourselves. And when you're in the world, the entrepreneur world that you went into, it seems like the mindfulness vastly improved your EQ or your emotional intelligence. It made it possible for you to like survive in that world and then thrive later.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. Survive in that world and thrive later. Absolutely. I mean, it enhanced a lot of things for me. My ability to manage my attention, my ability to think creatively, to have clarity of mind, even a stability of mind, and to really restore my energy as needed, and to have enough awareness to know what's meaningful to me, what's my purpose, what's my passion, and to
So important.
follow that.
Yeah, very
So,
important. Yeah, I almost feel like I want to start doing like weekly mindfulness classes with you. I could definitely use a little help there, as well as all of us. All of us could
Sure.
use a little help there because you know what they say, if your best friend said half of the negative things to you that you say to yourself, your best friend wouldn't be your best friend anymore. You know what I'm saying? Well, yeah, we
Right.
accept it from ourselves, and half the times we're not even aware that we're doing it, and then we're beating ourselves up and eating ourselves up on something like that. So, I'm so happy for you that you found the mindfulness and the yoga and the meditation and all these things, Christina, that helped you, emotionally, psychologically, mentally hold it all together, and put you in a place where you can start winning, which is pretty awesome. And now you're helping others win, and you're doing stuff. You're helping athletes win. You're helping executives win. Can you help us follow how you made that jump from like there you are trying to do your thing, and then you jump and say, "I'm going to help athletes and executives," and exactly what are you doing to help them as well?
Sure. With the athletes, we'll just start there. There's a lot of work around connecting to breath, right? So that you
Mm,
always have that stable ground to calm yourself and not be reactional. I've worked with different athletic groups in my journey. Primarily now, I'm working with a golf academy. So they're such a great sport to work with. And the mental game is very well known in golf.
oh yeah.
So we also work with visualization techniques,
Hmm.
because with that we can work on improving our technique in the game, we can work on improving our form, and also we can dive into self-image. A lot of young athletes have big dreams, uh, and they want to see themselves in bigger places, but really creating a mind body connection around what that feels like, what
Hmm.
that is like, and tuning into that as a reality now is a skill that's necessary for continuing to persist and to manifest that eventually in
Hmm.
one's life. So we work on that, and also sometimes deciding or discovering that's actually not where I want to take it with my game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So having enough understanding of self to be able to make those choices and
Hmm.
direct oneself appropriately is useful for the kids.
Yeah.
And
So
also,
important.
very much so, yeah.
Hmm.
And then the preparatory school, we do some work with mindfulness education. And that's really great. We dive into emotional intelligence in there. We do some relating activities.
Hmm.
And so they learn some tools with meditation and mindfulness, concentration exercises, things that build different parts of the brain, the mind, and awareness really driven, to
Hmm.
help them better connect with themselves and each other, and also help them manage all that they have to manage with their schoolwork and this sort of thing.
Yep.
So,
Wow, that's
um,
some amazing stuff you're doing.
yeah,
And I love how you're talking about like the mind body connection, the visualization, the awareness of self, the self identity. I
uh-huh,
mean that stuff is so important. And I got to tell you, like I was telling you earlier, Christine, I drive my son about an
mhm,
hour to go to practice, wrestling practice
yeah.
3 days a week. And I've actually come out of retirement. I haven't told you this yet. I've come out of retirement to be one of his assistant wrestling coaches. Right.
Wow,
So, yeah, which is awesome. I'm
go
so
dad.
pumped to be back at it, and during that hour that I spend in the car, I work on his mind like way more than like his physical body. Like I almost never talk about,
Awesome.
are you lifting weights? Did you get 10 reps or 9 reps last night? How much weight? I don't even have those conversations with him in the car. I talk to him about who he is. I talk to him about fear. I
Uh,
talk to him about awareness, and I talk to him about all these mental, emotional, psychological aspects of sports, and
Huge.
using sports, not looking at sports as like the end goal, but using sports as a vehicle for him to get to where he needs to be in life, which is a better man.
That's right.
Sports is going to make him a better man, a better human being, from the self-sacrificing, getting there early, staying later, working harder, taking
Sure.
responsibility. I mean, I love this whole thing with sports, but you're not going to be super successful with sports if you're not doing the sort of things that you're talking about, Christina. And I think the
That's
same
right.
thing happens in the executive
It
world,
does.
the business world, and you're working with them as well. Can you tell us? I think Myrna's going to be coming back on in about 5 minutes, but
Uh-huh.
maybe we could, to close up the show, but maybe we can get a little something from you on how you got into the executives and what you're doing with them.
Sure. The work in corporations is with executives and associates. It's a little bit different depending on the audience, but typically we'll take the values of the company and I'll use those values to create programming and training that supports the leadership, or the leadership and associates really embody the values of the company. So you can consider values as kind of the consciousness of the company, and how can we, raise everybody to that level. And so we use tools and mindfulness to do that. And sometimes we also work with just how can we optimize full potential? How can we
Mm.
really, utilize our minds
Yep.
to help us go a little bit further? So
Yes. Yep. So important.
it
I mean,
is.
there's this mind over matter is in like
Mhm.
pretty much everything. I remember my older brother used to talk about that a lot. Mind over matter. He was a few years older than me. He lifted weights and played football and wrestled, and I kind of followed in his shoes. And he used to
Yeah.
always say that whole mind over matter. And he always kept saying that, and it just stuck in my head. Mind over matter, about getting your mind right. You know what I'm
That's right.
saying? You got to get your mind right. If you call it mindfulness or maybe you call it something else, but you got to get your mind right if you're going to succeed in sports, if you're going to succeed in school, if you're going to succeed in a career, in life, in your marriage, pretty much everything. I mean, I got this
Mhm.
little thing, Christina. I don't think I've ever told you this one, but I mean, there are days like when I'm on my way back from lunch,
Uh-huh.
I stop in the bathroom, splash a little cold water on my face, and jump up and down a few times like a prize fighter.
That's
And I'm
great.
like, yeah, baby, yeah. And I'm like, and then I go, showtime, baby. And then I kind of dash out of the bathroom and walk to my classroom, and I jump in front of that classroom, and I'm like, here we go. You know what I'm saying?
That's
And
it.
my mind is right. And I have a very, very difficult job as an inner city school teacher. But when
You
I
do.
when I walk in that classroom and I command that classroom because my mind is right, it makes all the difference in the world. Whether you're standing in front of an inner city classroom, you're stepping up to plate, trying to get that, bring that win and run home. You're trying to sink that winning basket, or you're trying to win that dance competition. You know what I'm saying? Or you're trying to pop the question, will you marry me? Right? I mean, this is
Yeah,
everything. Everything
it
comes
is
down
everything.
to your mind. And I just think you're just doing such good work out there. And I would encourage, the athletes, executives, associates, and everybody else out there to contact you. And I know we're getting ready to wrap it up. I know Mira's coming back on in about a minute, but I'd like you to share with us, if you can. I mean, what are some of your future dreams and goals? Where do you see yourself going?
Oh, thank you. I foresee some books in the future.
Cool.
So writing for sure. I've been traveling and doing some speaking, so that's been great. And I'll likely be doing more of that. I've also been traveling and offering some retreats, and I see that expanding. So I just kind of see a little bit of everything I'm doing now expanding further. And one of the biggest things is these wellness programs in companies. They're often made volunteer, and the company wants to provide something for the employees, but it's really for the benefit of the company. And
Mm.
one of the directions I'd like to take companies is just like your sales and your management training. You make your wellness training, the mental training, the emotional training that support the employees bringing the best to their job, just as mandatory as sales and management.
Yeah.
Why not? So there's some directives in those areas that I foresee that I'll be driving. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably it.
And that's why they call you the mental, what is it? The mental fitness specialist is what they
That's it.
call you. And that's why. So great. So, man, I know you're out there getting ready to come back on, close us out.
Yes, I am. Thank you, guys.
Welcome back.
I've been here all the
Hi,
time.
Mirna.
Thank you for allowing the Mindalia TV cameras being a channel for your ideas. And before we leave, we want to ask Christina, where can our audience find you?
Thanks. You can find me at carnelianconnection.com. So carnelian as in the stone I'm wearing here around my neck. You can also find me on social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram under Christina Dufour. And I really appreciate this opportunity. It was great interviewing with you guys and being on Mindalia TV. So you can find me here too.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank
All
you.
right.
Truly, thank you. Do you want to leave our audience with a couple words as a goodbye for now?
If I had a few words just off the top of my head, I guess that they would probably be, you're enough. Find what you love and go and do that, because life is unpredictable. We don't know just how short it is, but it's absolutely unpredictable. And it makes a meaningful life to be doing what you love and to be giving and serving in ways that make you feel good. So know that you're enough to do all that you want to do.
Thank you. It has been our pleasure to have you with us. And Mr. Blanchard, where can our audience find you?
Hey, yes, of course. They can find me on all the social media channels, granddaddy6.com, danblanchard.net, Amazon, YouTube, and of course, Mindalia TV.
Thank you again. Well, thank you one more time. I think I can't say it enough. And to our audience, of course, thank you for being with us, for making this journey possible. We truly thank you. And we send you a very big hug from our heart to yours. Until next time. Bye bye.